Hey, thanks so much for tuning in to the Daily Dose for Spiritual Growth. Today is Talk About It Tuesday. We're going to continue the theme this week talking about friendship. And there is a great friendship recorded in the Bible, and that is David and Jonathan. Now, David is King David. He was a shepherd boy. He was anointed to be king at a young age and then grew up. And he's at a spot right now where he's not king yet. We're going to be highlighting 1 Samuel chapter 20. Now, King Saul was obviously the king at the time, but obviously David was already anointed to be king. And because of that, the favor that David had, Saul, the king, was jealous of David. Well, David's best friend is Jonathan, which Jonathan is King Saul's son. So you can imagine there that there's some tension here. And not only was it just jealousy, there was rage and anger in King Saul. So much so that he vowed to kill David. Now, 1 Samuel chapter 20 begins with David running to Jonathan saying, "What have I done to your father to deserve death? Like, he's coming and trying to kill me." Now, Jonathan is in a precarious situation here. He has his best friend coming to him, but then also he's a son of the king. And so he has to honor that relationship as well. And Jonathan does a very wise thing. He honors the relationship with his father, but also honors the relationship with his best friend by saying, well, why don't I go to my father and find out what his intentions are? Let me just not take your word for it. Let me find out for myself. And so they come up with a plan of this dinner party. David's not there. Anyways, you can read the story in 1 Samuel chapter 20. Well, they come up with a plan. Jonathan realizes that David was correct, that his father wants to kill David. And so they come up with a plan where they shoot it. Jonathan shoots an arrow. The boy comes, and then David flees. And then this is the part right here, the last verse in chapter 20 of 1 Samuel. This friendship of David and Jonathan is a great example of loyalty, a great example of sacrificial love here. This is what Jonathan says to David in verse 42. "Go in peace, for we have sworn friendship with each other in the name of the Lord, saying, the Lord is witness between you and me, and between your descendants and my descendants forever." Then David left, and Jonathan went back to the town. Now, this relationship went actually beyond even Saul's death and even Jonathan's death, because David loved Jonathan so much so, and the vow was, this covenant was so strong that even after Jonathan's death, he went and to try to find a descendant of Jonathan to say, how can I take care of him? And you can read the story later on, what happens there. But you know what? David and Jonathan is a great example of loyalty, a great example of love. I want you to think about a person who has been loyal to you, a person who has shown sacrificial love. Sit down with them and thank them. Sit down with them and just say, hey, thank you so much for taking time. Thank you so much for investing in me. And if you can do that, I know that would speak volumes to that person. And maybe you can go to somebody and maybe you have not shown that loyalty or that sacrificial love to somebody. I want you to think about it. Pray about somebody that you can show that type of loyalty, that type of love today. So I want you to go to God. Go to those people and see how God can use you and work in and through you as you choose to do so. Hey, thanks so much for tuning in. Make sure you tune in tomorrow for another Daily Dose for Spiritual Growth.